What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, and a couple of other tickers. I want to give you guys a very quick update and an overview of how the market is looking, what's happening for next week, when you should be watching for as time progresses. Before I break anything down, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit $500 into the account, you are guaranteed 20 free stocks. If you deposit $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 free stocks. And this offer ends today, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, now let's break down what's happening to SPY and the market. So SPY continued to rip to the upwards direction, breaking all-time highs. In my previous video, I told you all that if SPY broke this 510 area, expect 512. And we actually went a little bit higher than that to 513.5. But now the question is, will this thing just keep going, or is this thing about to form like a little temporary top right here? So looking at technicals, I do want to note that SPY ran like crazy, like there was no tomorrow because of all these shorts that were expiring. We had close to a million puts expiring. SPY just continued to hold up, and this helped drag the market up with it, including Tesla getting some additional catalysts. But I do believe that SPY is going to see a little retracement. I think it might retrace just a little bit before it tries to bounce again. And I think that this is going to be very healthy because of what we've seen in previous trends. I'll talk about this in very brief detail in just a couple of minutes. So I want to mention that for next week, it's going to be not a crazy week in terms of data. We're going to start off very weak on Monday. Just we have like Harker giving a speech and nothing else. For Tuesday, we have composite PMI reports coming out and just like the ISM services data. So this is going to be important for the services section and just a bunch of Fed speakers. Wednesday, excuse me, for Wednesday, we just have the JOLTS job openings. So the jobs numbers come out. We also have Jerome Powell giving a little testimony, which won't be that crazy. He usually doesn't say much during these testimonies, so we'll see what Jerome Powell says. At least going into Wednesday. And then for Thursday, I mean, Thursday and Friday is just like other pieces of data, lots of unemployment data and stuff, nothing too crazy. So the data is not as insane next week as it was this week, but moving forward, make sure you're prepared when Jerome Powell gives his little testimony. He could say something. Usually it's not that crazy, so we'll just wait and see. For earnings, I just want to mention that we have we have GitLab, we have Neo and Target announcing earnings on Tuesday. We have Ross, Nordstrom, and just a couple of others. Not to mention JD, EVgo, Foot Locker on Wednesday, Victoria's Secret, and a couple of others for after the market closes. And then finally, we have some more retail stocks like Big Lots, Costco, and a few others announcing their earnings. So we'll see how things go with all of these. A lot of retail, but most of the earnings are very minor. Nothing's going to shake the whole market that much from what I'm looking at. And everything seems kind of minor, kind of, so-so. So we'll just see how it goes. Those are the earnings coming out. Right now, looking at the S&P 500, we're at extreme greed in terms of our sentiment. We're seeing a lot of greedy price action that's still dictating our flow. And once we hit these extreme greeds, I do notice that the days before, sometimes we do see the market pull back a little bit, then continue back up to here. So we'll see how this ends up looking. Market momentum is still at extreme greed, and also the puts and call positioning is coming down as we're seeing puts being closed and a lot of delta hedging with these institutions buying up shares, helping to push stocks up. So it's still going on in this market. The VIX is still continuing to come down as the market has been continuing to pump. The VIX is still showing some weakness as it's very close to its key support. So we'll have to see how things go from here. Now, with that being said, let's talk about just a couple of charts. So what do I see for SPY? If we take a very handy dandy Fibonacci retracement tool, we could see that if you start from like right here, if we start from this first drop and we look at this full measured move from today, you'll notice that the 0.618 happens to align with 509.6, which is close to 510, and the 0.786 is at 508.6, which aligns very closely with the 4-hour 20 EMA. So it depends on if we turn here or not. I think there's a chance we turn just a little bit. And I think we might see a back test of 510. That's what I think might end up playing out. Why do I think that? Well, look at the last trend for the last couple of weeks. So if you look at Friday, right? Actually, I think I could go a little bit more further back. Let me just show you this trend. So right here on Friday, you could see on February 2nd, SPY pushed. Then on Monday, February 5th, SPY came down temporarily before pushing again on Thursday. Then Friday came again, right here, SPY rallied again. Then Monday came, we actually pushed a little higher, then we ended up turning back down on Monday and we started to sink. All right, how about this Friday right here? Friday, February 16th, it came. SPY kind of like gapped up, came down, pushed up again. Then we ended up churning and continuing to churn going into like Monday and for the entire week. And then for today, SPY squeezed all the way back up. So what's and then it just continued to squeeze. Sorry, that wasn't today. That was actually last week. I apologize about that. We continued to push going into Friday of last week. So this is last week. Then as soon as Monday comes, we start sinking again. And then if you look at this last Friday, so this is actually today, guys. I made a little mistake there. Sorry about that. So today is Friday. What's likely going to happen are two possibilities. We either push a little more on Monday, then come back down, or we just drop from here. And I think it's very likely we do see a little pullback after pushing as hard as we did. And I think that it's very likely that SPY might retest 510, if not 508.3. And I think that over the next, 1 to 2 trading days, that's going to likely happen. But then we could bounce again, right? Just because we drop it doesn't mean we're crashing. We could just bounce again. That's what the pattern is kind of like showing us. So that's what I'm kind of anticipating, a little pullback coming before the market tries to rebound. Not saying it's a crash. And I do find it very interesting. A lot of people thought the market was going to crash, but it didn't do so just yet. So look for a little retracement. I think we might retrace just a bit, grab more liquidity, then we might just bounce intraday. For Tesla is just range bound. It's actually kind of boring. There's not much going on with it. It's completely range bound. Let me just show you what it looks like. Right here, it's been just going back and forth between supply and demand. Right as it hits this 205 to 204 area, it rejects. As we hit 198, a little bit above that, then we tend to see this bounce back and forth price action. Then we'll see what happens from there. It's going to likely continue to range like this. It might come down just a little bit, and then we'll be watching to see if it tries to bounce. But it's still range bound. We have to assume it's going to remain range bound until we break one of these directions, until it breaks either 205 or loses 198. And on top of this, I just want to add that the news also affects this heavily. So it's just very boring, very range bound. We'll see how it goes. For the QQQ, I'm anticipating kind of like something very similar to that of SPY. Just want to mention that it's very likely that we see the QQQ retrace a little bit as well. I think we might backtest either 442 or even the breakout area in the very high 440s. I do see a little retracement coming to it. Then we'll see if we bounce as well intraday. But look for a little pullback before we continue higher. That's what I think is the most likely possibility. We also have resistance at 447.5 and then like 450. I don't think it's going to push that much. I think it's going to pull back a bit and then try to bounce. Nvda, however, is not showing signs of pulling back yet. It's still very strong, continuing to break out. We're going to be watching this resistance. Now, one concern I do have is 825 as we rejected the last time. We'll see if NVIDIA rejects it or not. But then I just want to mention that as we're pushing, we could hit 828 and then reject. I mean, it doesn't really matter, though. It's still holding up very nicely. So I'm not going to count for rejection yet. So let's see it on Monday. But be a little bit careful. We're at some tight resistance at 825, and we'll have to see how it goes from there. So I'll wait for that. And the last thing I'm just going to talk about, since it's a Friday, I don't really want to talk for too long. Aapl has been downtrending quite a bit. It's been continuing to make these lows, and we ended up losing 180, which is not a good sign. Despite losing that, we do have a potential inverse head and shoulders like structure, but we have to see this thing bounce like right here around just under 179. And then we have to make our way back up towards like 180.8. If we lose 178, we could remain a little bit more bearish. So we'll see if Aapl gets that bounce or not. We'll see if this inverse head and shoulders like structure plays out as well. We'll see if we try to get back above 180. Otherwise, I think that's the most likely possibility is Aapl kind of rebounds and tries to hit 180. Then we just kind of shuffle a little bit. This inverse head and shoulders might play out, but it might just be a little pop, then just sideways price action. It could even drop later. But that's what I think is going to happen, a little pop and sideways price action. I'll break down more details about this later on. With that being said, hope you guys have a very, very good weekend. That's it for this video. I wanted to make this very simple for Friday. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy the weekend. Do what you have to do. And I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you and peace out.